If you are already here and watching this video, I'm sure you are interested in knowing how to learn coding. Learning to code might seem challenging at first, but it's actually much easier than you might think, and anyone can do it. Coding is like learning new language. You start learning it, you are taking baby steps and keep moving. Once you understand the basics, you can start creating amazing things like websites, applications, games, and big applications of your requirements. Let me walk you through how to get started. So I am dividing this whole thing of learning coding into 6 simple steps. So the first step is start with basics. Practice, practice, and practice is the second step. Break down the problems, join a community, build real projects, and finally stay curious and keep learning. I will discuss these all steps with blend of showing you with the demos as well, and I am sure you are going to be confident on this concept how to learn coding at the end of this video. Start with basics. So the first thing that you have to start with is you have to select a language. A language, as you know, that computer language is nothing but where you can write programs and give it to computer to solve it, right? To any problem, you write any problem solution in that language, and it can be given to computer to do that, right? So the first thing is that you have to select the simple language. I'll be discussing all the languages possible right here. And the second is that once you have selected the language, you have chosen the language, you have to focus on the basic concepts like variable, loops, functions. These are all basic concepts of that language. If you get into this, I think you are through with the first step. So talking about the language selection, I have taken a small example of taking two numbers and comparing which number is greater. So I will compare the same problem into 5 different languages, 5 different computer languages. The first is that this code has been written in C language, right? So you see, these are all variable creation. Here I am creating integer type of variable, and this is something which we call is that if, which compares both of them. And then finally it prints whether the first number is greater or equal or the second number is greater. The same thing I have done in C, and let's go to do the same thing in C++. More or less everything remains same. See the variable creation, the if condition. The only difference that you see here, the standard input output. So if you have been asked to select out of these two, you are free to choose any of these because there is hardly some difference in between these two. Going ahead and doing the same thing in Java program, in Java language, you see the more or less everything remains the same, right? The same variable creation, the same way of comparing this, and only the difference that we see is that basic input output. Make sense? Going ahead and I'm writing the same program in Python. You see that it's little easier than the earlier one. Now you directly create variables here. Comparison is exactly the same, only little syntactical differences, and this is the way you print the values, right? And the fifth language that I see is C#, which is one of the mostly used languages in the world over .NET. So the C# program also almost been written in the same way. You see there, variable creation, comparison, and display the values. So what we learned from this 5 example is taking or selecting any language is not that difficult. I mean, there is some sort of differences, maybe syntactical, maybe the nature of the language, but if you pick any language, you should be able to do coding in that, right? I'm going ahead and trying to explain the languages to choose from. I'll make your thought little easier on that, how to choose a language. So there can be different type of works that you can decide. If you have web development project wherein you want to create websites or web applications, some of the languages that you can select from this list, maybe JavaScript, Python, C#, Java, PHP, Ruby, TypeScript, Kotlin, Golang, Swift, etc. Right? So these are all any of the languages that you can select based on your choice. If you are to work on data science, AI, or ML, machine learning, artificial intelligence, then Python, R, Julia, SQL, Java, Scala, C, C++, C#, and all the languages that you can select from. If you have mobile development, obviously Java, JavaScript, for React and native, Swift, Kotlin, C#, HTML with PhoneGap, or maybe Cordova. If you are to use some system level programming wherein to write virus program, antivirus, or drivers, then you have to have C++, assembly, Rust, and ADA. Obviously, many languages don't fall in this category. So these basically the snapshots are going to make the thought for you to select the language is pretty much clear. Going for the other possibilities, if you have a general programming anyway, you want to write another huge applications like multi-tier applications or any general purpose applications, then you can select any of these like Python, Java, C#, C++, JavaScript, Ruby, PHP, Scala, Perl, or whatever. You have game development, we have a specific language, like we have C#, C++, Python, and Java. So this list will give you a little idea on what kind of work that you are going to do, and so what kind of languages or which language that you need to select. But as said in earlier sections, selecting any language and getting into this is not tough. You can actually do the coding, right? So we have some considerations when you are selecting the programming language. First of all, you have to select your career goal. What is your career goal? Which area that you want to go? So think about the industry, maybe gaming industry, maybe IT industry, which produces, let's say, food tech data, food tech application, educational technology applications, or maybe industrial development, industrial automation applications, or anything like that, maybe finance applications. So you have to select. So this is your career goal first. This is a second project goal. If you are already in some project and you need that my project is of this nature, then you can, based on that, you can select the category of language. You also have some learning styles. Maybe you are a beginner, or then you are kind of not not liking the language, or maybe you are choosy about language to select, like I should be selecting a very simple language. So this can be another parameter which you can utilize for selecting another language. And then you have to see that which language has more community and resources, like say for example .NET community, Java community, Golang community, React community. So there are many communities, right? So you have to think on that which is having a stronger community. You can also check the market share of the languages. Based on that, you can select a language. And last but not least is demand. You have to see the demand of that in industry. So these factors will help you choosing the language. So my first step, which I wanted to explain you, is that choosing a language and understanding it is pretty much clear to you. Talking about second is practice. Practice makes man perfect. So if you have selected a language and then you have started learning it, do lots of practice, small projects. I mean, you can take any example real time. Let's say you have simple calculator. So you can create a simple calculator in the programming language that you have selected. We have calorie calculator, expense manager. You are doing day-to-day expenses from your pocket. So you can create an application which will do it for you. You can enter the expenses and which can calculate at the month end and then show you. So these things can be created and you can select for hands-on learning. And then you have online resources which will help you practicing. So you have CodeWithAbby.blogspot.com, which has many interview questions or many real-time projects, many real-time questions. So you can refer this. There can be other online resources which you can refer. So this is the second step. Talking about the third step is break down the problems. So any problem that you have been given, any program or any big problem statement, you have to think it passionately and think about it and try to break it down into smaller pieces and chunks and manageable steps, and then try to attack each one of them. And then this way you can actually solve the bigger problem by dividing them into smaller chunks. Make sense? And then you should be knowing the debugging skills. So debugging skills can be very, very, very important for you. So if you are writing a big program and you know which program works in which way, you can actually do the debugging. And this debugging can help you understand that in what way or in what sequence or flow your program is going. Correct? So there are many debugging skills. I will put a snapshot wherein you can see that how to do that debugging. And every IDE, that integrated development environment, has its own debugging way to allow you to do debugging that you can do. And then you have to join a community, that is collaborate and learn. You should not be a solo activity. Let's say you have a group, maybe a WhatsApp group or another group on the net, which if you have joined that group, anybody can post his or her query, and that query can be taken up, the question can be taken up. You have joined me as well, let's say over the YouTube, and you are writing questions to me over the comment or on my email ID. I am going to respond to you. So this is what you call it as a community, right? You should do also pair programming. Let's say you can do pair programming with me as well, that we usually do that coding together. So wherein you post a question, we both sit together and do, maybe in live sessions or in offline sessions, or if you have a friends with you or colleagues or your own many classmates, you can actually do pair programming wherein you give some problems to them and they can give you, or if there is a common problem, you both can, or you all can sit together and do it together. So this is about the community. Step 5 says that start small. Once you are comfortable, start working on real projects. So real projects can be anything. You can pick any problem from your real life. Like as I told you in the previous slide, that let's say you are doing some expenses. So you can create our expense manager app. So which will basically do whatever expense that you do, you can capture that expense. And then finally, at the end of the month, it can give you that you actually did petrol expenses up to this much you did on food and beverages, you spent this much, on vegetables you spent this much. So this kind of thing. If you are a fitness freak, or then you can actually create some health related app. So this you can identify about the small work and a small problem statement, and you can start doing on that. And once you have done this, this is also going to help you creating your portfolio. Let's say you have created some online tools or online application, you can actually add that into your portfolio, which will be helpful once you are going to your future employment. Let's say you are going to work for somebody. If you are showcasing that, this is really going to help you. So that's what we call it as portfolio. And last is keep exploring. So technology always gets changed. I mean, if you see the .NET history, it started 2000, now in 2024, like the version that we think of C# as 1.0, now we are having C# version 12. So every day that we are getting and a new day coming, we are new technologies coming on the way. So you should be very curious and always ready to learn things, because you are now stepping into doing coding. So things will change, technology will change, and then you have to upgrade yourself. So somebody says that, is it really a difficult thing? No, you will actually start enjoying it. So once you start enjoying it, I think the new thing will come, and then you will start reading it. So this will give you a pleasure to know new things, and this will actually not feel like, it's a boring, or I need to do always upgrades or something, right? And never give up is the last key. You may find some difficulties while coding, but we are there. I am approachable, your friends are approachable, internet is approachable. I think you can approach anybody, and don't feel like you can't do. You can do, actually. In this world wherein we have huge information source, there is nothing that you can't actually do. You can do everything. With this, I'm winding up this session, and I'm sure that the points that I have discussed on how to learn coding is pretty much clear too. I wanted to convey this to you as you are an aspirant and you want to start learning coding. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Subscribe for more updates. Comment or write us at mailtocodewithabby@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.